Welcome to 10 Talks, real conversations for champions with champions, where a champion life is a 10 life. Thank you for joining our team today. I'm Carlette Patterson, your head sports life coach at the Life Training Academy, and it's our desired outcome to share our passion for sports life coaching by training you to live a 10 life. You and your life matter. Let's get coached. Hi, team. Wonder why you feel exhausted at the end of the day when you've been doing things that are not your 10s? Well, that's all about energy management. And we have some winning strategies on how to make sure that you can manage the things that you don't love and the things that you do love, and how to make sure that your day is really anchored in things that give you great energy. So enjoy our conversation today as we talk with Helen from New Zealand. She's one of our master coaches. She coaches not only sport athletes, but also life athletes. Enjoy our conversation. Hi, team. Welcome to 10 Talks. It's another day for us to share a conversation with champions for champions. And our guest today is a dear friend of mine, someone I've had the opportunity to work with for over 10 years. And she's from New Zealand, and she is one of our sports life coaches as well as one of our master coaches. So Helen has been with us quite a while. She and I met in New Zealand at the first training that we had for high performance sport, and we have been connected ever since, really loving the joy of just coaching people from their hearts, how to be a champion in life as well as how to be a champion in sport. So we look forward to you joining our conversation with Helen. Today's topic is all about energy management, and Helen is an expert at energy management. This has become her favorite tool that we work with. And so we wanted to share with you today our passion for our MeQ skill of energy management, and just Helen share her journey about really what it's been like to introduce these tools in New Zealand and how she uses them with her clients. So Helen, welcome to 10 Talks. It's a 10 to have you, so very exciting from that perspective. And just love for you to share with our listeners the power of your story. Let them know kind of who you are and what sports life coaching is all about for you.
Well, it's great to see you again, Carlette, today, and thank you very much for the opportunity. So my story, and certainly working with the tools here, I've been working in sport as one of the things that I do for about 15 years now. And I got into it because rugby, our main sport here in New Zealand, or our main professional sport, went professional. And I'd see these young men coming in, and then I didn't see them the next year. So it's like, what are you going to do with your life if you break your leg or whatever else it might be? So I started following that as something that I was particularly interested in. And one thing led to another, as it tends to do. And then I got a role with High Performance Sport New Zealand, which we did some amazing training. Absolutely, I think for me, Carlette, when the 3D training came along, it was like, oh my gosh, this just so made sense to me as a way of living, and just the light bulb virtually went on. So I've been working with the tools for about 10 years now, and just love the way that it helps people get a good awareness of themselves and grow and understand themselves a lot better, so they can really achieve all those goals. It was like the beginning of the season, the beginning of the year, whether you're an athlete or whatever it is that you're doing. We all have great aspirations to do lots of different things. And the reality is the life things that get in the way. They can be the things that derail us and they take us off our course. So the tools has really helped with that. And I think particularly this energy management tool. So I've been working with athletes, the high performance Sport New Zealand athletes, and also I have another role working with the Wellington Phoenix football team, and again seeing the players grow as people exposure to these sorts of things, and being able to be part of that journey is just, it's so immensely rewarding.
Well, and Helen, we know that you work in 3D, our three dimensions, personally, professionally, and philanthropically. So let's first of all start personally. Let's talk about how you use our tools and energy management in your personal life. Let's get to know you personally before we, start to really process how you coach professionally. So our motto is a live it to give it model. So this is what it's all about. And so just take us through a bit of your personal journey and how the tools and how energy management has served and supported you personally.
I think the revelation for me, Carlette, was about you can't give at your full capacity if you aren't living at your full capacity, or as you're on that pathway to doing that. You're doing your best to be able to give your best. So that's how I've set myself up. A lot of the work that we've done through the 3D tools it's been a really good fit for me because I love learning. And I think people like learning stuff about themselves as well, because again, I use the phrase light bulb moments. I've seen the light bulb go on for so many people when they have an awareness that that's how they're going to be able to function better. I mean, for instance, I know that sitting down and watching TV all night would not work for me. I know that I need a little bit of exercise in my life to set me up really well, but equally appreciate that we're all so very different. And we know this working with people. We're very different in the way that we are. So honing in on what works for us to set us up really well. Just things that, for instance, like our language, even we very much think of how we do things, our energy being physical, and that's the easiest one to explain to a lot of people. And of course it is, because we're not feeling very well or something's broken, then things are really tough, it's really hard. But sometimes you can have all day to do something and you just don't feel like doing it.
Exactly. That human moment, right?
It's like, oh God, it's exhausting. And doing nothing is exhausting. And students that I work with as well, sitting down for an hour doing an exam is really tiring. So appreciating there's a lot going on in terms of how we use our energy and what we pay attention to and what we can do to rebalance it, to set us up for the next thing that comes along. Or so that's been a very big learning piece for me. It's funny, isn't it? You think you know it all when you're 20, and then you get to 30, it's like, what was I thinking? And then when you get to 40, it's like, oh, that's what I knew it all when I was 30 or whatever. So it's fascinating. And the more that we do these tools, the more and more that I learn. I love that.
Well, let's talk about professionally, because as you said, you serve several clients from a sport perspective. Explain a little bit to our team really what High Performance Sport New Zealand is about, the athletes that you're working with, and also your football team would be our soccer team, in terms of just kind of what that's all about and how you've used the energy management tool and really just coaching them up to be able to have their energy at peak performance.
So the High Performance Sport New Zealand athletes that I work with, they are all either on a journey to the Olympics, a little bit later than what some of them thought perhaps at the moment, or they'll be involved in some sort of world championship that they're striving towards, or they'll be developing along that sort of pathway. And the soccer players that I work with, I'm here in New Zealand, but they are a team that competes in the Australian professional league, various ages, and the common thing, which is you don't have to be an athlete to have this as wellness. I mean, it's such a huge issue for us all now. I mean, even pre-COVID, it's a massive issue for us as wellness. And for me, that's synonymous with the energy management tool. It's how we look after ourselves and all aspects of that energy, physical, mental, social, emotional, spiritual, how we can galvanize all those things to help us be our best. And we're like, typically for athletes, they get the analogy of a cell phone. I mean, the cell phone goes flat. You've got to top it up. You've got to top up the battery. So what is it that we do that, plugs us back in and sets us up for the next thing? For in terms of mental energy, you know, power of self-talk is a huge thing that we talk about all the time. A language to ourselves sometimes can be an incredible performance barrier. So we'll all be aware of game-changing moments. I mean, you see it unfold on the field, or you can't see it unfold in the pool, but you know, you can see things unfold in people's lives where there's just a moment where it's like, I can do it, and that changes the whole course of what comes next. So understanding the power of these things and how they work is an important learning piece for our athletes, and the more self-aware they can be, it really helps them in terms of the whole aspect of their wellness and transition through all those different aspects of their life as an athlete. But it's for everybody, Carlette, as we know. Our life athletes, we're all on the same journey. We want to be doing the things we want to be doing. And who wants to be stuck doing the stuff that you don't like, or that where we focus our attention. We really want it to be on enjoying life and getting towards our goals.
Well, and Helen, you really talk about the key to energy management. It's all, the desired outcome is all about well-being and really being able to take great care of this self that we have been blessed with, and set us up for success in a way, you know, personally, professionally, and philanthropically, and just to be able to do the things that we want to do. And what I really value about just energy management is that we all get 24 golden nuggets for time. So time, we all get exactly the same thing. Energy is that part that we have total control over. And it's really a game changer, because if we're managing our energy, that's where we can optimally perform. That's where we can be competitively great. That's where we can show up so much different. And it's so empowering to feel like we have something that we have control over, something that we can totally be like, you know what, I may not be able to control how my time is in the swimming pool, or, you know, I mean, I can train, but when that you know, that start time goes off, whether it's playing basketball or soccer, a coach could control our playing time. I mean, there's so many variables that happen for our life athletes and for our competitive athletes that we don't have a lot of control over. And yet energy management, we have total control. We can say, okay, what is draining my energy? What relationships feel like an energy vampire? You know, when I'm around somebody, am I aware? Am I self-aware to notice, did I feel like I received energy from that interaction, that conversation, that time that I did invest with them? Or do I feel drained from just the conversation? And in our coaching, that's what's so valuable. It's that MeQ, that intelligence of me, that skill to really be able to say, okay, what's going on with my energy? Physically, how am I doing? Mentally, spiritually, emotionally? These are the things that we really want to be able to empower everyone that we have the opportunity to work with. So let's do a little bit of coaching from that perspective. What have you found to be some of the biggest performance barriers with energy management?
Well, certainly when it comes to the physical side of stuff, and everybody, the biggest performance barrier for so many people are those basic things like sleep.
Yes.
You know, whether we're an athlete, however, but a tired person, that permeates through the rest of life. So nailing our sleep habits is a huge performance barrier.
And Helen, an amazing action to change for that. They have done so much research on sleep, and they have found that, you know, we've brought in coaches and specialists and weights and nutrition and everything. And the number one really way to determine whether you're going to peak perform is your sleep. And again, it goes back to something we have total control over. So in your experience in the 10 years you've been coaching in New Zealand, what would you say are some of the winning strategies for really making sure that we're sleeping as a 10?
Well, certainly, you have to say with a lot of people, it's the devices.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, I think a lot of the time we know, Carlette, that's the thing. And we don't have to think too far back. And as you said, there's so much research around what are those things that are getting in the way of good sleep habits, our rituals and routines. We know our rituals and routines, and we set us up so well. They give us structure and they give us safety as well. And as I say to a lot of the, particularly the younger athletes that are struggling with sleep because of the clickbait, is what I call it, it's the onto the next thing that hooks you onto the next thing. And then, hello, it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Or the social media. And really, it's hard to get the message across that actually probably nothing is going to happen significantly between 12 and 6 o'clock in the morning when you see them.
Well, we wish everybody was sleeping.
Yeah, and the benefit of doing that. So it's paying attention. I think the biggest performance barrier overall is paying attention to our rest and recovery. Mm-hmm. What is it that we need to set ourselves up? And that's in all those aspects. Well, it might be an element, for instance, of the physical, which quite typically, if you're looking for people to pick one, it's going to be those sorts of things. But it's also understanding what are those little things that you can do to boost yourself. Obviously, get more sleep, but mentally as well. Might be some things that that you like doing. For instance, for me, understanding that I quite like reading a book, or just doing something for a minute or two, or sometimes you can just have a good laugh with friends. It'll only take a couple of 30 seconds or something like that, but the power of that, and that's rest and recovery as well. It doesn't have to be lying down. Right. So figuring out in terms of performance, what is it for you? That's the winning strategy. What is it for you that sets you up to get ready to go again, to restore those energy sources, and then go forward with some real purpose?
So team, Helen and I want to take you through some energy management so that you're set up to be able to do it. Helen talked about some really powerful MeQ skills. We've got rituals and routines, which is very, very important. We'll talk about that. And we've also got joy breaks. Joy breaks are those small breaks throughout the day that we insert joy. And this tool was created from sports in terms of hydration, how if you visually think about how often an athlete will go and get a water bottle and, really hydrate and refuel from a hydration perspective. Well, why aren't we doing that in our life? So that's the beautiful part about our joy breaks. It comes from hydration from sport, and it's all about inserting joy. So anytime you're starting to drag a bit, take a joy break, and that means just 3 to 5 minutes. I mean, the great part about a joy break is that's 3 to 5 minutes is the amount of time for a song. So music is fantastic for a joy break. It's time to connect with someone and literally say, hey, I'm on a joy break, which means I'm not here to have an hour conversation, or I'm not here to, talk about something that's not so fabulous. It's like, let's laugh together. Let's talk about the good things that are happening. Let's just have a moment of connectivity from a relationship perspective. That really can re-energize in a very quick way, the same way that hydrating does from a sport perspective. You can be exhausted, you can take a drink of water, and you're ready to go again. So think about that next time you're dragging. Insert joy, take a joy break. Just be like, hey, I want to do something fun. Something as easy as taking, walking outside, getting a little vitamin D, getting a little sunshine, or calling a friend, whatever it is, just that ability to really be able to insert joy. And that's how you'll measure it. When you do it, do you feel like it restores you? Do you feel like you've got something out of that 5 to 7 minutes that you invested with the desired outcome of rest and recovery? Now, the other thing that's powerful about rest and recovery is that it is not usually laying down and watching TV all day. If you have a metabolism that is used to competing or being physical or working out, meaning like an energy management metabolism, you need to do the same thing in your rest and recovery. So for instance, our athletes that are maybe basketball players or, any particular sport, they may golf for rest and recovery. So this is the new thinking that's really important as we start to process from a MeQ perspective. How do I start to really rest and recover? And it means that you're doing something that requires full engagement. You want to make sure that when you're doing it, you're not thinking about something else. It needs to require that you're present and that you're fully engaged. When you're fully engaged doing something, it means that your body is now restoring. So if you watch your film and you think about going on holiday or doing something fun, you can be really entrenched in a business project and something that you're working on and you can't quite figure it out and you work it, or you say, I can't go out this weekend and have some fun because I got to get this work done. And instead you kind of drag for the whole weekend, versus if you unplug, you go out, you do some physical things, you have some fun with some friends, usually that, that brain starts flowing again and good things start happening. That's what we're looking for. That's how you can measure your rest and recovery is, do I feel better because I've done it? Now, you can be exhausted. You can go out and have a great workout. You can play to exhaustion and it still is rest and recovery. That's the beautiful part about it, is that it's different from what you do day in and day out. So for me, and Helen, this, one of my favorite rest and recovery in terms of workout is boxing. That's one of my favorite things. And really my favorite thing is about boxing is that I have to really concentrate. I cannot be thinking about anything else. I mean, I hike, I love being outdoors, but certainly on those walks or hiking, I'm thinking. I mean, my brain is fully engaged. Versus when I'm boxing, I have to be paying attention because, if I don't think about what's going on, it will not be a fabulous experience. So, that's just an example. It takes a while for us to find our tens or the things that really restore us. I know for some of our coaches, pickleball is another fun thing that they love to do. So just some new thinking about, wow, this is an adventure in itself, is coming up with what we call our playlist. And that playlist is, how do I like to play? And so the beautiful part is when you've developed a playlist, you can use it for transition when you come home from work. Maybe you've been working all day. This is kind of during a work week, and you only have the evening to rest and recover. Well, pick some components of that. For instance, taking a walk, doing something fun, great conversation, cooking, if that's, something that's great for rest and recovery. So the new thinking is to really hold this rest and recovery for the end of the day, so that you finish work and you come home and you rest and recover, and you'll do a small part of that. And on your day off or the weekends, we're looking for a large rest and recovery. Break down what's really important about the aspect that you love. Because if you love that aspect, you can insert it into joy breaks and you can insert it into things in the evenings, and then you can have some fun on the weekends. So Helen, let's do a little bit of work with that. Let's take what you love to do as your somewhat weekend or day off rest and recovery. And then how do you use those same components during the work or the work day when you've got just a little bit of time? And then how do you use it for joy breaks?
So I'll come back to the physical again, because I'm very much one of those people that I can't sit down for too long. I find it really, really exhausting. So what I do in the weekends, I short to medium term, I'll set myself a goal for some off-road running, and I know to make it through the course that I need to do some training on a Saturday morning, and on Friday night I'll get up at 8 o'clock and I'm going to go this route, and then sort of 7:30 comes along Saturday morning, and I do wonder about the wisdom of that idea, but I put my shoes beside my bed and I put my clothes on and I'm out the door. I know that when I'm out the door, it's actually all right, which is interesting. It's always the doing bit is the hard bit, isn't it? But that aspect works for me all the time. There might be something, so I'll be doing little jobs during the weekend. They're usually quite full on for me as well, just in terms of different stuff. I do make sure I'd have plenty of outdoor stuff to do. And I'll just put a schedule together, not for every second of every day, but just for a rough idea of what I'm going to get done. Because if I have it written down somewhere,
Yes,
it's
huge
far more
winning strategy. Yes.
Yep, it's far more likely to get done. And then once I'm outdoors, I find that really that fills my soul. I really find it just is so it does, it fills my soul in terms of getting things done, makes it so much easier. Then at night, I know, for instance, I don't say I never watch TV, but I will leap up during the ad breaks to get stuff done as well, because I just find myself exhausted. So it's about inserting those little bursts, those little joy breaks, or making some use of what you know and actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my weekends would look.
So team, just to kind of go through how Helen really uses the energy management tool from a running perspective, is that during the week, if she doesn't have time to run, she can actually use on her joy breaks, or in the evenings when she comes home, she can map out what she's going to do, look for some events that she may want to compete in. Like, that's part of the package of rest and recovery. And this is the new thinking we want to introduce you to, is that you can use the week to kind of plan the weekends, and that's still rest and recovery. It's giving you energy, because you could come home every day and talk about, on Monday, let's plan Saturday. On Tuesday, let's plan Friday night. On, Wednesday, let's plan what we want to do on Sunday. I mean, really just starting to take care of this in a way that's about honoring who we are. And that's how you can use it kind of during the week. And then for your joy breaks, you could be looking at, for in Helen's situation, where's some running events, where's some things that, she might want to get into. Now, what's interesting is you heard Helen say her ritual and routine is to put those shoes by her bed so that she has to get up and she's set up for success. This is another thing about rituals and routines and rest and recovery. It's not always something we feel like doing. And a lot of times when we are exhausted, the thought of going to work out or going to run or going to do something it's exhausting. You're like, I've got nothing. But if you have the ritual and routine in place, you will be amazed at how energized you will feel by just going through and doing that movement, because our bodies need it and our minds need it. So again, that ritual and routine of saying, I'm going to, do this every Saturday, or I'm going to do it whenever I'm going to do it. I just wanted to give the team the opportunity to realize that sometimes rest and recovery isn't always something you're just really excited to do. It's something that will help you rest and recover, and it's really important from that perspective. And I want to talk a little bit from a mental perspective, because certainly from a well-being perspective, okay, we've got the physical check. We know working out is really important. Helen, as you said in the beginning of our conversation, that self-talk, self-compassion is huge. I mean, it's amazing how kind we are and how much we serve and support so many other people. And then when it comes time for us, why are we not our own best friend? Like, why do we not really honor and cherish ourselves as much as we cherish other people? And so I find certainly with high achievers that this is tough. I mean, we're tough on ourselves. We're competitive. We're constantly feeling like we could be better. We could be better. This is tough from an energy management perspective, because if we're never celebrating, or we're not having those, celebrating those short-term wins, if we're not having strength in our relationships to really be able to be ourselves and not have to be on as an athlete or on as a performer, it gets really exhausting. So from an emotional management perspective, inside this energy management component that we're talking about, Helen, what would you say are some performance barriers that have shown up, and what have been some actions to change?
Well, definitely the mental aspect is the self-talk, but you've nailed it, I think, in terms of the compassion. And it's very easy for us to be compassionate towards other people, but extremely hard on ourselves. And with athletes, that whole life of continuous improvement, it's almost like it's never good enough. Well, yes, I've scored the goal, but I did this, or whatever else it might be. But one of the most interesting things about the times that we're in at the moment, Carlette, we're very fortunate here in New Zealand. We have crowds. We're able to see our sports events, but we see all these sports events around the world now, and there is nobody there. And we're taking away the ability to celebrate the successes, the goals, or whatever else. It takes a huge part out of the whole fun, or
The
just
fun, just the fun of everything.
Yeah, massively. So I think certainly being kinder to ourselves is very important, and that's in terms of a performance barrier, that's massive. So self-kindness and actions to change is sometimes, I think, one thing that has been really good for the athletes I've worked with is our stats tool.
Yes.
So so people get stuck in playback. you
Mm-hmm.
know, repeating what happened during the game or during the event or whatever it might be. And when you're stuck in that playback, that's going to lead to burnout. So
Mm-hmm.
if we give it a stat, well, how was it? It was a 5 or a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. That's helped a lot of people move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, right, well, yes, that was a 7. What could you do to take it to an 8? It's very tangible. Then that can be the end of the conversation rather than reliving that
Yeah.
film moment over and over again.
Yeah, because every time we relive it, we're using the same energy as what we did when we did it. So if we did something that, in our language is a low stat team, that's a scale of 1 to 10. If we do something that's a 4 and we replay it over and over and over, that's draining our energy because we're going back to that same film. So Helen, that's a great winning strategy, is to claim it, be like, yes, that was a 4. Yes, that was a 7. What did I learn from it? I may just want to feel the pain and be, well, I wouldn't want to feel the pain, but it may be a winning strategy to actually feel the pain, acknowledge like, boy, last night when I didn't get any sleep and practice was really hard, that was a 4 for me. So I definitely want to do something really different. That's our tool of feeling the pain. We are not all about denial or pretending that it's not happening or positive thinking or any, yes, all those can be great winning strategies. We want to be more concrete. We really want to train in our life as intentionally as we would in sports. So that training means that awareness, that self-awareness for me to really be honest. Our tool is truth. What is my truth? My truth is I'm not performing it the way I want to. Okay, what's my performance barrier? I didn't get enough sleep. What's my action to change? I'm going to unplug. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm going to set up some rituals and routines that really honor me in a way that get me ready to be that person that I want to be. And what's great about energy management is this is a constant flow of energy. So for instance, if we wake up and we're dragging and we're low, we have the ability to reset the energy by inserting these tens or this joy or these things that actually give us energy, rather than going and talking about the negative or talking about the things that didn't work. So I want to really just bring that home in terms of the fact that even if we start off from a low energy perspective, we have the ability to raise our energy and finish strong from a day, from a weekend, from whatever's happening. We don't want to waste any time at all because, our time is so precious. So in terms of kind of just summarizing energy management, we really got this from sports in terms of athletes are amazing at rituals and routines. I mean, that is a huge winning strategy for us. We wear the same uniforms. In fact, we wear the same number for years after year after year. We have practice at the same time. You pretty much can set your clock by an athlete's training schedule. They get up at the same time, probably eat the same thing. They go to the gym. It's very structured. And if you wonder about that, I know so many times our life athletes have said, I don't want to be rigid like that. I don't want to be like that. I just want to share the desired outcome of that. By investing in setting up these rituals and routines and really making sure that the things that are not performance-based are kind of just set up. So for instance, whatever I'm going to eat for breakfast, it's just going to be set up. I'm going to know what I'm going to eat. Maybe I meal plan on Sunday for the whole week, but I'm not going to invest my energy in what's for breakfast. I'm going to know what my ritual and routine is for my breakfast. It can be different Monday through Friday, but I'm going to know every Monday I eat this, Tuesday I eat that. Then I'm going to get dressed in my uniform. I'm going to go do whatever it is I'm going to do. So many times life athletes actually invest all their energy in the doing rather than the performing. So for instance, I would invest all my energy in what am I going to have for breakfast? And first of all, I'll start with what am I going to wear in the morning? I'll get up, I may think and spend a lot of energy thinking about what I'm going to wear. Then all of a sudden I'm thinking, what am I going to have for breakfast? Then, I'm going to figure out whatever the day's about. By the time I get to work, I've really expended a lot of energy. And so from an athlete's perspective, we're the opposite. We're going to be on almost routine in terms of what do I have for breakfast? There's no energy exertion in those tasks. So that when I show up at the gym and it's time for me to perform, all of my energy is directed towards performance versus towards task. And so this can really be amazing from an energy management perspective, just to watch our film and think about how much energy we put into planning, and yet we don't have the energy then to actually do whatever it is we really wanted to do because we reverse the energy management. So Helen, thoughts or questions on that?
Well, two things immediately come to mind, Carlette, is why do we want to be spending our energy thinking on what's for breakfast and what am I going to wear and whatever else, when we've been spending our energy on stuff that we really want to do and the
Right.
stuff that's important to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that's what I'd rather be doing. So I think so much of our time is, we know so much. We know lots of things about ourselves, but the rituals and routines, and we're not trying to turn people into robots, but what
Exactly.
it does
Yeah.
really help us with is it makes it happen. So
Right.
it shifts the knowing to the doing. And I think
Yes.
that's really important. Sometimes that's the prompt that we really need. Yeah, and as I say, it happens.
And I also really appreciate it takes the thinking into the achieving. Because if I have to create my plan, if my ritual and routine is on Sunday, I'm going to sit down and kind of, lay out what my desired outcomes are for the week or what's happening. I'm going to do those. They show up on my calendar. I give them one of my golden nuggets of time. I mean, once I've exchanged that time for something that I'm going to do, I never get that back. So the beautiful part is really making sure that we invest in what matters to us, not only from a time management perspective, but from an energy management perspective. Am I spending my precious time with the people that I love and that I cherish? Are we having conversations that are really what we want to be talking about versus just, empty conversation? Really that self-awareness of how am I investing my energy? And is it in the life that I want to live? Is it with the people I want to live? Am I really cherishing my energy and my time in a way that sets me up to be the person I want to be and to really live the life I want to live? So Helen, I've loved being able to talk energy management with you. I know it's one of our favorite tools. Any words of wisdom for the team as we sign off about energy management?
Well, I have to say my words of wisdom would be just do it. I'm
Yeah.
feeling snipey. But also, I guess there's one thing that I think perhaps we haven't spent a little much time on was if you understand why you're doing it, that whole sense of purpose, it's going to make it easier. I mean, we're understanding about what matters. Well, be true to it, be accountable, and that's going to make the difference. And it's just going to make things so much easier. You enjoy yourself more, be
Mm.
spending time doing the stuff you want to spend. They think, well, why aren't we already doing that?
Well, it sounds so easy, but we do get into rituals and routines that aren't so fabulous. I mean, those
Mm.
habits that are just what we've been doing and we've kind of been unplugged, and really what our desired outcome is to really plug everybody into their life, to their heart, to their mission, to their purpose. Just that power of really being on purpose, living on purpose, and going for the things that we love. So Helen, I love your words of wisdom being all about purpose. We can't close with anything more valuable than that. I mean, knowing our why, really getting out there and being all about something that matters so much to us. Before we close, I want to talk about our third dimension, philanthropy. You
Mhm.
have been amazing at this. I know when I first came to New Zealand, that was a word and kind of a concept that certainly was anchored in money. That's a universal language and term for philanthropy, is the thought of giving money. And in our work, we are all about three dimensions: personally, professionally, and philanthropically. And our mission philanthropically is to give hope. And take us a bit on your journey on how you've really developed philanthropy from a give hope perspective and how that's done with your energy.
Well, it was interesting, Carlette. I think I've come such a long way. I mean, I totally didn't get it, the whole concept, when it was first we first discussed it. So that's been fascinating seeing that evolve. And I just think the power of hope is such an amazing thing. I was talking to some athletes, or even in our own lives, we know that when somebody gives us hope, or someone's done something kind for us that helps us to get on with what we want to do, or just gives us that motivation or to achieve, it makes such a big difference in our lives.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of what I do has been going more recently. I mean, it doesn't take any time to be kind to someone or to help someone with some of these tools. You know, I've worked with life athletes as well on some of these things on the basis that, and the funny thing is, they all think they have to pay you for it, but it's not about that. It's the whole concept of paying forward as well.
Mhm.
If you can spend the time giving something to somebody else, I mean, the rewards are immense that you receive yourself anyway, in terms of an energy management perspective, certainly. And then to give them the ability to give hope as well is a huge gift. So that's what we'll be working on. New Zealand is a very generous country, and with the way things are at the moment, people are giving enormously in times that are very tough, and time, effort, all those sorts of things. So it's great to be involved in something like that you can give hope as well. And giving time is giving hope.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. It's a huge gift.
yeah, giving hope is immense, and
Mm.
it covers so many different things. So, I just think it's a great privilege to be involved in something like that.
And it gives us energy in such a huge way. I mean, there's so much research out about really when we give to others, what it does for us from an endorphin perspective, from a well-being perspective. I mean, if we're having a bad day, if you just connect with somebody and give them hope, immediately we have an impact and start to feel really different. So if we want to remember to really take control of our energy and feel like we are empowered to be able to set ourselves up to be our best self, giving hope to other people is a big winning strategy, because the minute we reach out and connect with someone and make it not about us, completely switch that thinking into how may I serve and support? How can I give somebody hope? From a simple exchange at the grocery store to just, being aware, really opening our eyes, our heart, and our mind to the people around us, the relationships around us, and how can I give you hope today? Like, who shows up? To me, it's like a treasure hunt. It's like, okay, what's going to happen today? Who can I give hope to? And really seek that out with my attention on how can I give hope versus, what I need or what's happening with me. It's a great exchange from an energy management perspective.
Huge.
Well, team, I hope you have enjoyed our conversation with Helen. She is a true champion to us, and have really valued just her getting into energy management in such a deep and powerful way, loving the power of purpose in that as well. And Helen, thank you for being on our team. Thank you for being one of our amazing coaches, and for sharing your gifts today.
Absolutely my pleasure, Carlette. I've really enjoyed it and continue to enjoy it. So I hope there's something that other people can find something in.
So team, it's up to you. It's up to you to practice, practice, practice. This week, our MeQ Skill is all about energy management. So go out and see what gives you that energy for rest and recovery. What do you do that really makes you feel like a 10? It's up to you to live that 10 life, and we are here to serve and support you on it. Have a 10 week. Thank you, team. Thank you, Helen.
Pleasure, Carlette.
Thank you for listening. We'd like to get you coached up, so head over to iTunes and Spotify and hit subscribe. And remember, a champion life is a 10 life. You and your life matter. Create a life that you love, give hope to others, and be and choose nothing but 10s. Be you, the world needs you. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com to start your training and get coached.